2NURFM 103.7. A very interesting guest is joining us this morning. His name is Damien Linnane, and he went through a journey of being incarcerated. He's come through that, and he's going to talk to us about, I guess, the journey of how he got there and prison life generally. Good morning, Damien. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
What was your background and what led up to you being incarcerated in prison?
I was actually finishing a degree in psychology. I finished 1 week before I went in, and I was working for the Australian Defence Force as a combat medic. The short of it is someone in my family told me she was sexually assaulted, and that brought up a lot of bad memories for me from my childhood, and I did not react very well to that at all, and I committed a series of crimes targeting the person she said assaulted her, and the most serious of those was I firebombed his house, and I spent 10 months in prison for that.
I guess there would be a lot of people that would be hearing that and going, well, the person possibly got what they deserve. There are a lot of people that would be very sympathetic to those types of situations.
I definitely get a lot of people who, if not approving wholeheartedly, that they at least identify with that a lot. I'm neither proud or ashamed of what happened. I know what happened. I know why it happened. I definitely had a lot of people actually reach out to me after it happened, and actually casual friends, and they came up and they're like, "Wow, I really wish I had done something like that when that happened to me." So I get a lot of mixed reactions to it, but it's certainly an interesting story. Yeah.
So we moved to the point of incarceration. It was about 10 months or so.
10 months. I got 2 years was my sentence, but my non-parole period was 10 months, and that was pretty automatic. Yeah.
Once you got to that point of, okay, this is happening, this is now a thing, I would imagine all sorts of horrible thoughts are going through your mind of what life was going to be like in jail. Did it live up to those expectations, or was it quite different from what we see in culture and in the movies?
It was quite different. So I actually, I was seeing a therapist while I was on bail, and I actually said to her, I'm like, is there something wrong with me? I'm not too afraid of prison or anything. I'm a little bit excited that it's this whole new world. And she said, no, there's that whole public curiosity with prison. That's it's probably not a typical reaction, but it's not too abnormal. And I'd been in the army for 5 years, so I was used to living in situations with violent people and stuff. So, but I was expecting it to be worse than it was. Everybody starts in remand, and that's like a maximum security type situation. But I was only there for about 3 weeks before I got downgraded to a minimum security facility. Yeah.
You then spent most of your time at a facility at Glen Innes, I believe. Yeah. What was that facility like, and what was the day-to-day life of that time that you were there?
Yeah, so that's a prison camp, so you have to work there to stay there, pretty much. And, it definitely doesn't look like the movies. We didn't actually have a fence as such.
Kidding. Yeah, there's no fence.
There was a marked boundary, like it was marked by the road at one point, and there was like a yellow line painted where you couldn't cross at other points. So,
You realise it's harder to get out of a school than it is to get out of this joint?
Yeah.
Or even get into a car yard. The fence is 10 foot high, and you've got a yellow line, and the main road, that's the boundary here.
Yeah, nobody did a runner while I was there. Somebody did just about a month before, and a couple of guys absconded while I was there. Basically, if you've got friends in the neighbourhood, they'll drop you like packages in the woods, and you have to run out and get them. And it's only a matter of time before someone gets caught, and that happened a couple of times. So yeah.
Damien, how were you spending your time? What were the days filled with activities, or was it quite boring, or were there some changes that you underwent whilst there?
Glen Innes is a timber yard, so everyone's there working in the sawmill, mostly making pallets for private companies like James Hardie. And I was one of about 6 people there who had an undergraduate degree, so we were kind of handpicked, and I worked in administration. I processed all the inmates' pay. I used that term very loosely. Depending on what they did at the prison, they got between $1.08 and $2.20 an hour.
Oh, wow. What, $10 a day?
Yeah. I was quite proud to be on, as an admin, I was on $2.20. I was quite proud of that at the time. It was, a big earner in prison. But so that kept us busy. They let us out at like 7:15, worked from 7:30 to 3:30. Then you get 2 hours free time to exercise or whatever, like go see your friends at their units and stuff. And then we get locked in at like about 5:30. And from there, there wasn't anything constructive to do.
Is that one of the, I guess, the issues, or if complaints is the right word, that you would have with the system, that we put people in jail for a purpose, to rehabilitate, to sort of reflect, but if you're just going to sit there and be bored day in, day out, that's never a great state of mind for anybody to be in.
Yeah, well, I'm not ever going to say that people don't deserve to be punished for crimes, but the system we have really doesn't work. We're just warehousing people. It's literally the adult equivalent of go sit in the corner and think about what you did. And so, I mean, occasionally I hear people saying things like, oh, inmates shouldn't have access to TVs and stuff, and like, it's just frustrating because, you're in there, you're separated from your family. It is tough because you're isolated from the community and stuff, but yeah, it was very depressing for me that I wanted to go back and do a master's degree at uni, and the prison was just like, no, we don't have the resources for that. We don't have computers. It's not going to happen. So.
Maybe fence building would have been a good thing for everybody to get into at this place. So moving forward, that period of your life has passed. How did you find adjusting, getting back into a regular life? Or has that been something you've been able to do?
Yeah, that wasn't too hard for me, especially being away in the army. Like, I was used to going away for periods of a few months at a time and then coming back. So that wasn't too hard in itself. It was, yeah.
What about the reactions from other people? Obviously, your friends and family, they're fine, I'm assuming. But what about, you have to try and find work, you have to try and engage with other people. This is obviously something that is going to come up.
Yeah, so I've been completely upfront with it. I've worked in a couple of subcontracted jobs, and the problem I'm finding is that when you apply for jobs online, which most jobs are these days, as soon as you tick that box, do you have a criminal record, they're like, sorry, you're not eligible, and you don't even get an opportunity to explain yourself, which is frustrating. But, yeah.
Mate, I know you've been doing a lot of other stuff since then. Obviously, you're an author now as well, so congratulations on all of that.
Yeah.
If there's any advice you could give anybody that might be going through a similar process, or would there be something you could say to those folks, or maybe families of people that are in the system at the moment?
There's a saying in prison, just do your own time, and basically just keep to yourself. Don't ask questions. Don't cause a scene. A lot of inmates are really suspicious of other people, and if you're going around looking like you don't know what you're doing and asking people a lot of questions, you make people nervous. So just stick to yourself. I got by I read a lot of books and then I wrote one. So while I was in there, so that's how I passed my time. Yeah.
Damien, obviously a lot to unpack there. We probably could talk a lot longer, but we've kind of run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
We have a little bit more information on Damien up at our webpage if you'd like to check that out right now at our morning show page at 2NURFM.com.